likely met a quiet kind of person. Perhaps you are one. And these individuals don't feel compelled to fill every silence with noise or reach for their phone the moment they're alone. Instead, they appear genuinely at peace in their own company. For a long time, it was assumed that these people were simply wired that way: introverts, loners, the strong, silent types. However, neuroscience now tells us a far more hopeful and nuanced story. Over the past 2 decades, brain imaging research from institutions such as UCLA, the University of Chicago, and Cambridge University has revealed something remarkable. People who thrive in solitude are not simply defined by personality. Their brains function differently across 5 specific neural systems, and the most exciting part is that these systems can be developed by anyone. In other words, solitude is not the same as loneliness. It's important to draw a crucial distinction. Loneliness is the ache of unwanted isolation, the hollow feeling of being cut off from others. Solitude, by contrast, is a choice, the quiet room you enter willingly and find nourishing, not empty. In many faith traditions, this distinction is considered ancient wisdom. The desert fathers and mothers sought it, and Jesus withdrew to lonely places to pray. Thomas Merton wrote entire books about it. What neuroscience now confirms, the spiritually wise have long known, that is, time alone, chosen freely, and pursued with intention, is not deprivation. It is actually formation. The prophet Elijah learned this lesson the hard way. Exhausted after a period of intense spiritual struggle, he collapsed under a broom tree and asked to die. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 4. And God's response wasn't a pep talk or a crowd, but rest, food, and quiet, followed by a gentle whisper in the stillness. Solitude wasn't Elijah's problem. It was part of his healing. So let me share what some of the findings are saying about the 5 brain systems behind the gift of solitude. Number 1, the default mode network. When most people are idle, their brains get restless and anxious. But in those comfortable with solitude, this same resting network becomes a space for self-reflection and creative thought. Rather than a void to fill, downtime becomes genuinely productive in a work. You can begin training this network simply by spending 10 minutes a day unplugged. No screen, no input, just you. And this is precisely what the psalmist described. I have calmed and quieted my soul like a weaned child with its mother. Psalm 131. A settled inner life isn't passive, it's trained. Number 2, the amygdala. Think of this as your brain's alarm system. For many people, being left out or socially excluded triggers it like a fire drill. But those at peace with solitude show a calmer amygdala response, kept in check by the rational prefrontal cortex. What it means is simply this. 8 weeks of meditation practice have actually been shown to reduce amygdala size and reactivity. That's not a metaphor. That's measurable change. Paul understood this kind of hard-won inner calm. Writing from prison, he said, I have learned, in whatever state I am, to be content. Philippians 4:11. Contentment, he insisted, is learned, not inherited. Number 3, the prefrontal cortex. This is the brain's thoughtful elder, the part that pauses before reacting, that recognizes an anxious impulse to scroll or a text and chooses differently. People who enjoy being alone tend to have a more developed left lateral prefrontal cortex. It's what lets them notice the urge to escape discomfort and resist it with grace. Meditation, journaling, and light exercise all help build this capacity over time. Scripture tells this self mastery. A person without self control is like a city with broken down walls. Proverbs 25:28. The good news? Walls can be rebuilt. Number 4, the oxytocin system. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone, released through hugs, friendship, and belonging. And here is the surprising twist. People who thrive alone can generate it internally through self-compassion, warm self-talk, music, or even time with a pet. They have developed an inner wellspring of warmth that doesn't require a crowd. 8 weeks of self-compassion training has been shown to measurably increase oxytocin levels. This resonates with a deep truth that we are not made to be emotionally hollow without a room full of people. The Lord your God is with you wherever you go, Joshua 1:9 says. For those who have internalized that presence of God, that love, the quiet doesn't feel empty. It feels inhabited. We feel the presence of God. And number 5, the dopamine reward circuit. Most of us get dopamine hits from external rewards, likes, messages, and approval, and so forth. But those who are comfortable alone have trained their reward systems to respond to intrinsic satisfaction. Finishing a chapter, mastering a skill, showing up for themselves, and so forth. This is a difference between motivation that depends on others and motivation that comes from within. Colossians 3:23 frames this beautifully. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. When our sense of reward is anchored in something deeper than applause, we are freed from the exhausting chase for external validation. So, once again, this isn't fixed. One can grow this. And here's the genuinely good news. None of these systems is hardwired at birth. Thanks to neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable capacity to reshape itself, these circuits can be built up through intentional daily practice. So spend 10 quiet, phone-free minutes each day to activate your default mode network that I've mentioned above. Begin a simple mindfulness or meditation practice to calm your amygdala. Talk to yourself the way you talk to somebody you love. Self-compassion, and this way your oxytocin system will respond. Celebrate small personal wins to rewire your reward circuit toward intrinsic motivation. Romans 12:2 puts it this way, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What Paul wrote as a spiritual imperative, neuroscience is now catching up, mapping it as a biological reality. The mind can be renewed, the brain can change, and that transformation begins in the quiet. So, there is something profoundly freeing about learning to be at home with yourself, not because other people don't matter, they do deeply, but because when your sense of peace and worth doesn't depend entirely on external company or validation, you're free to love others more generously without needing them to feel something that only God can feel. Brain science is new, fairly new. The invitation is ancient and everlasting. Be still and know that I am God, says in Psalm 46:10. So maybe stillness isn't something that comes naturally to you, and yet the science and centuries of spiritual wisdom agree it can be learned and it is worth learning.
Our God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from Be still, my soul, the Lord is on thy side. Bear patiently the cross of grief or pain. Leave to thy God to order and provide. In every change, He faithful will remain. I will be still, I will be quiet, resting inside your perfect peace. You are my God, you are my refuge. Here let my striving cease. Be still, my soul, thy best, thy heavenly friend. Through thorny ways leads to a joyful end. Our troubled hearts, He gently holds them close. In His sweet presence